All righty. Hello and welcome, everybody. I'm really excited for today's webinar that we have with the fabulous recruitment team from Schell Games, one of our studio affiliates. Thank you both so much for coming. We're really excited to have this. And there's so many people in chat. Please feel free to introduce yourselves, whether you're watching this in StreamYard, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Twitch. Please feel free to say hello, say where you're from, and what any questions you have, because we'll eventually get to those. But before I continue, my name is Parker. I work with IGDA. I'm the Director of Operations and Events. Chances are, if you've ever connected with IGDA, you've probably interacted with me in some way. Today, I am joined by Carmen DeMint and Amanda Lurz, who are from Schell Games, and I will pass it over to them to do their own introductions. But like I said, keep dropping questions in chat, and we will get to as many of them as we can. All right?
Great. Thank you so much, Parker. And it is wonderful to be here. We are really excited to have the chance to connect with all of you and share a little bit about our studio, but definitely make sure to save some time to answer questions as well. We know there's a lot of questions out there, and we will do our very best to help answer them as best we can as well. But to jump in, first off, we want to just take a moment to introduce ourselves. So I'm going to turn over to my coworker, Carmen.
Well, hello and welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us, as Amanda said. And you can see here on the slide, and those of you who know me, hello and welcome. Thanks for coming. My name is Carmen DeMint. I am the Senior Talent Acquisition at Schell Games. Pronouns are she and her. And I have been in the industry roughly 20-some plus years, a long time. And I am a staunch advocate for diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, as well as neurodiversity. I love what I do. I love my studio, and I'm proud to say that I have enjoyed this industry, and I won't leave. I'm going to throw it over to Amanda for her introduction now.
Thanks, Carmen. My name is Amanda Lurz, and I have been with the studio for about 2 years now. I come with a little bit different background. I actually was in academia for 17 years, working at a university in undergraduate and graduate recruitment. So definitely a little bit different industry, and had an industry switch, which I was really excited to do. And one of the things that stood out to me about Schell Games was that it was ranked as one of the best places to work in regards to the studio or the industry. So that was really exciting for me. And I've absolutely loved my time here. Love the people I get to work with. Projects, things like that will change, but hopefully people won't change too much, which I'm super thankful for. As well as for me, I love my job because I get a chance to help people and your dreams come true to work in the video game industry. So that's always exciting as well. So I'm going to jump in and get us started. So first off, in regards to a little bit about Schell Games, we are one of the largest full-size game design and development studios in the country, and we are in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We've been around for 22 years now at this point, something we are extremely proud of at our studio. We were started by Jesse Schell. He actually made a move back to the East Coast at the time. He was in the West Coast and wanted to come back to the East Coast, had an opportunity to work at Carnegie Mellon University's Entertainment Technology Center and loved that work, but realized in regards to relationships, he was missing that longer relationship opportunity. Worked with students, they'd move on and graduate, move on to bigger and better things. So he still wanted to do some work in regards to projects. And also he had been working with Disney and they didn't want to lose him. So they were excited to be able to still continue working with him. So he actually took 5 graduates from that program to help start the studio. And actually 4 of those 5 graduates are still at our studio. So that longevity, sustainability is really important to us as a studio. So a couple things I like to point out right away about our studio that's very different in comparison to, unfortunately, the gaming industry. We have never had layoffs. And that's something we're extremely proud of as a studio. And we work very hard to make sure that that stays that way. So definitely that's sustainability and making sure all the different things we're working on, that we're able to keep that so that our people are important to us more so than the profit and project side of things as well. Also, that work-life balance. Many of you know in the industry, there can be a lot of crunch, a lot of extra work that you're going to be doing. Our studio works hard to make sure that there is a work-life balance and that that's very much the case. We don't crunch, and I'm not just saying that. We actually don't. That really is a priority of ours. And you can really see that in regards to how long people choose to stay at our studio. People wouldn't stay 5, 10, 15, 20 years unless there actually was a work-life balance as well in the studio. Now, a couple of other things too, in regards to projects and things we work on. I like to say we work on all kinds of things. As a studio, more specifically, we work on entertainment, which you can see below, and we'll jump into those in just a minute. Definitely also educational sides of things. We work with nonprofit organizations, museums, healthcare organizations, all the way to location-based installations at theme parks, which more than likely you could have ridden one of our games in regards to a theme park across the world as well. So we cover all kinds of things. Also, we do client work as well as internal IP. So one of the goals that we wanted to get to as a studio when we hit our 20-year mark, which we did, was really that balance in regards to, having at least 50% of our projects be client-based. And at this point, it's probably even a little bit more than that. So that sustainability, a piece of that is definitely being able to continue to have those clients. And we also get to pick and choose who we get to work with too, which is also really exciting. In regards to our size of our studio, I like to say that we're not too big and not too small. We have about 160 employees. So it's really a chance for you to get to know everyone in the process. So that part we love. In regards to teams, team sizes can vary, but I'd say probably an average team size is probably like 15 people. Obviously, there's some that are bigger than that. There's some that are smaller than that as well in the process. But it's definitely an opportunity for you to get to know everyone. Our studio, which you'll see in just a minute, we're going to share a video, oh, and I totally skipped over the video, which we'll get back to in a second. That's totally my fault. Thank you, Parker. But in regards to our studio, it's really that open concept, which really helps focus in regards to teams and working in teams and being able to connect really with people right next to you. You're surrounded by your team, and that collaboration and that teamwork is really important in the process. And last but not least, we really value, we like to say we look for kind, creative, and curious people. And within those three descriptors, there's a lot of things that can come into play. So please realize those are always the things we're looking for when people kind of ask in a general sense. So Parker, thank you. I'm going to ask if you can switch to our video so you'll have a chance to hear from Jesse and see a little bit more about our studio.
Schell Games is not your typical game studio.
With our long history in the game industry, we are uniquely positioned to create interactive experiences that engage and inspire players of all ages across all platforms.
Our portfolio includes projects ranging from mobile games to virtual reality games to interactive installations to theme park attractions and everything else in between. As a leader in virtual and augmented reality, Schell Games is capable of leveraging these powerful new technologies to create immersive experiences that educate, entertain, and engage. We are always ready to experiment with the latest technologies and the newest techniques. Not only are we different, we are experienced. Since 2002, our award-winning studio has worked with world-class clients and partners in diverse industries, including toys and games, healthcare, technology, education, and entertainment.
As the largest education and entertainment game development company in the U.S., our team of over 100 people is committed to bridging the gap between educational and entertainment games to develop experiences that surpass our clients' expectations.
Our diverse staff is a seasoned group of artists, designers, animators, engineers, producers, and audio professionals who create games with purpose and with pride. Schell Games. Amazing teams, amazing experiences, amazing fun.
Thank you so much, Parker. I appreciate your help on that one. So I want to take a second to share in regards to some of the games that we've created. We are definitely known for VR. That is not the only thing we work on, but definitely an area that is a strength of ours as a studio. And we do have a lot of clients coming to work with us in that regard. So first off, the one right there in the middle at the top, Among Us VR, that is often the one most people realize, oh my gosh, I totally know that game. I didn't know Schell Games made that game as well. So something we're so proud of. It's actually 2 years about this time frame, which is kind of crazy. It feels like it's been a longer time frame that game has been out, but something we're really proud of. Obviously, for us, a live ops game for sure. So there's always constant updates and changes. This past month, we just added something in regards to Halloween that's a little bit different as well. So you can check that out until the end of the month. But always love the opportunities we have to kind of continue and grow in that specific game. To the left of that is Silent Slayer. This is one of our newest games that came out in June timeframe of this year, and it is our first jump scare horror game. So perfect time frame in regards to the Halloween time. So if you love stabbing vampires, this is the perfect game for you. It's a really cool, creative game. We're so proud of the beautiful artwork, all of the work that our team has put into that. So definitely feel free to check that out. But if you're not into the scary things, more of a cozy games, another example is to the right of that is Lost Recipes. That is an opportunity, very much that cozy game where you get to cook in multiple cultures. So there's 3 different cultures, and you'll have a chance to do some cooking within those. And one of the things we really pride ourselves on as a studio is really making sure every area and every aspect is accurate. So even all the way down to voiceovers, those are actually people from those specific cultures as well. Everything you see, everything you hear, everything you cook as well. So definitely a really fun game to check out. Then down below Among Us VR is I Expect You to Die. So this is our franchise, something we're so proud of. It's a VR. There's 3 different games. You have options to play in regards to them. And it is like a description is kind of like an escape room puzzle with like a James Bond twist to it. So definitely a lot of fun. We have gotten so much great feedback from people. They absolutely love it and are always looking to see and hear if we're moving forward and doing another one in the process too. Now to the left of that is Until You Fall. So again, as I mentioned, we do client work, but we also do internal IP. And this is a great example of that. So something we was kind of one of our first kind of combat focused games as well. So definitely a really cool game we're proud of. And so definitely have a chance to check that out. And then on the right-hand side kind of hits on that location-based installation games that we've created. So this is an example called Cosmic Chase and was connected to Porsche. And actually out in California, they have an actual course. So actually it was a VR game that you were actually playing while you were riding in a car on the course. So definitely a very unique opportunity. One of the things we love about our studio is we have a lot of clients that always come to us and we are considering ourselves like problem solvers. So oftentimes they'll come with something very unique and ask, hey, can you do this? And we'll say, yeah, let's check it out and try. So one of the very unique things that's available within our studio. Sorry, folks. Hold on one second. For some reason, we'll do it that way. Okay, Carmen, it's all you.
Thank you so much. So on this slide at the bottom, you can see some of the partners that we work with, and you will recognize some of those logos down there, but it may surprise you to see that we've worked with Fred Rogers Studios, the Pittsburgh Zoo, and as well as PBS Kids. So we do educational as well, as Amanda stated. Our mission statement is to create experiences we are proud of. And when I say proud, that means we are proud as a team, creatives and all. You would be surprised with marketing, operations, HR. We're all proud of the people we like, people we work with, and we want to make an impact with the games and projects that we make. Diversity makes us strong is part of our pillars of success. We foster diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And we also iterate that process in regards to our statement on the website. So that DEI statement does change over time, as we know that the world changes in regards to what that means to individuals, as well as the definition in the work environment. We believe in the power of mentorship and collaboration to empower the next generation of talent, which means a lot of you in this room and watching this video, we believe in you. We want to help you succeed. We want to make sure that you're breaking those barriers, and we're giving you the opportunity to do so. So don't be afraid that if you see a position open that we have for you and you think that's a great fit, put your application in. Also, if we have a general application pool that you can add to and make sure that you are telling your story, because we feel that that's very important and we value each and every one of you as individual creatives. Next slide. All right. Thank you, Amanda. So this is our introduction to our Schell Games departments. So in this slide, you can see design, right? Designers are people that craft the vision for the player experience. They shape the overall journey to ensure it's engaging and makes you want to keep coming back. Now we're looking at art. Artist brings the design to life, creating characters, environments, and visuals that make the game fully immersive. And when I say immersive, that means it draws you in. Just like reading a book, I guess when you were younger, most of us read that book and we fell in love with the storyline, using your imagination to be able to think of what the backgrounds look like. Some of those pictures in your head, artists make these come to life. Engineers make it all come together by writing code that turns ideas into art and playable experiences. Engineers are very valuable, just like everybody else in the studio, but they love to work with those numbers, math, ones and zeros, unlike this person over here. All right, production. Producers keep everything on track, or as I like to say, the wheels on the bus. Coordinating teams and resources to ensure that the game is delivered on time and within budget. Also for our studio, producers are our gatekeepers to make sure that we are not crunching. They help us to ensure that everyone has the time they need without feeling pressured, or making sure things are in scope, to not have a lot of that pressure to get everything done in a, let's say, 60-hour work week. That's not how we roll here at Schell Games. QA, we can't forget QA. QA is important. They test the game, ensuring its stability, usability, and smooth experience for you as the player. QA is often overlooked in regards to the overall experience. QA is tied into each and every one of these disciplines that we talked about, and they are very important to the process of making sure the game's final result is what you want to see. Also making sure that we get all those bugs out, right? All the lag. We can't forget educational research, which Amanda mentioned in our cooking game. So researchers analyze player interactions to improve design gameplay and data-driven insights, as well as making sure that all of our games are authentic to the characters, to, let's say, the clothing and the dialogue, and helping the design team. Each role is essential to creating engaging, high-quality experiences, which, again, we love to do because we want you to enjoy it. And when you enjoy it, that makes us feel great about the time, the effort that we put into making something that makes an impact on you. Oh, you're muted, Amanda.
That might be helpful. Thank you. So now I'm going to take a minute to talk a little bit about our internships and fellowships. So there are two different things. We'll talk first about internships. We do have a slide next about fellowships, so we will get into those as well. Internships are for those of you that are still in school, so you've not completed your degree. Fellowships are for those of you that have graduated and have completed that degree. So first off, in regards to our internships and fellowships, they are similar in the sense of how they're set up. So number one, you do need to move to Pittsburgh. We do not have any remote opportunities. As a studio, we realized how valuable it is to be in person, especially for internships and fellowships, how much learning happens just naturally from being around your team, being in the studio itself. So I do like to state that first off. In regards to our internships and fellowships, they are designed where you come in to do, not to watch. So it's very much for an opportunity where you're going to be coming in like a full-time, let's say, designer. You want to do design. As a full-time designer, you would be on a project with a team, just like any other designer would be, obviously be given specific things to work on that project, but you would also be supported. Another very important part for us as a studio is making sure of that wraparound support. So yes, you'll have a manager, but you'll also have a project mentor. Oftentimes your manager is not on the same project that you are. So wanting to make sure that you have some support, someone to go to for all of those everyday questions and things that pop up, as well as your project director. So making sure that support is available is really important to us as a studio. Now, in regards to opportunities, you'll stay on that project for your time frame. Typically, they're about 6 months for the most part in regards to timing, dependent on your semester, on your school, how it kind of is set up. Obviously, that's a factor to take into consideration. But during that time frame, you also will be exposed to all of the other projects. So you'll have a chance to see all of the cool things we're up to, how they work, how they differ, different opportunities. Again, a part of it is very much a learning opportunity. And one of the things we've realized as a studio, which is some of the reason we really love having interns and fellows, as you know, with the gaming industry, it's really hard to get into it. Oftentimes, even in an entry-level position, they'll say, well, you need to have experience. Well, someone's got to give you the experience to get the experience. So that is definitely something we really value as well, wanting to help give you that experience so you can get into the industry too. So in regards to the internship, a little bit more specifics, yes, they are paid. You are paid for your time here within the studio. It is a kind of a standard amount. That would be something we discuss with you in an interview process when we get to that part of it as well. As I mentioned, it's for students that are currently enrolled and have not completed their degree or training program. And as I mentioned, you're a full team member, which is important. In regards to the different areas that you can focus on, there's art, design, engineering, or production. So a key thing also is we tend to look for seniors because you finally figured out exactly what you want to study. Oftentimes it takes time, understandably so, to figure out which discipline, which area you would like to go into. So making sure that you have the experience, really know, yeah, I want design, because again, you're coming in not to just kind of explore and check things out. You're coming in to do the work. So we want to make sure that that is the discipline that you're interested in. So knowing what specific discipline you want is going to be important, because in the application process, it's a specific application for a designer or an engineer or a producer. So it is specific to that as well. In regards to time frames, for the most part, we tend to do spring and fall. We don't tend to do summer much in regards to internships, which I know is hard. Many of you are looking for that summertime. Some of the reason for that is it's just too short of a time frame. By the time you come in, get acclimated, get onto a project, you'll be here with us for just maybe a couple of weeks, and then you have to leave. So there's not as much opportunity for you to really lean into and grow and have a chance to really experience that specific role on that specific project as well. So typically for us, kind of the spring, which is kind of that January to May timeframe, and fall, kind of August to December timeframe, is fairly typical for us. And in regards to benefits, that's important too. We do support financially, as I'd mentioned, but also in regards to whether it's a transportation or parking pass, however you choose to get to the studio, whether it's taking a bus and we'll pay for a bus pass, or pay for that parking pass if you have a car and park in the garage. But also some sick days, IGDA membership, which is pretty fabulous, being we're connected to them right now, and just many more other things as well. So in regards to our fellowships, I'm switching a little bit. As I mentioned, they're a little bit different because these are for people that have graduated. So there's a couple extra benefits as well in the process, but very similar. It is a 6-month time frame that we guarantee. It can go up to 9 months. And the key part of both of these opportunities, one question we'll often get is, well, how likely is it that these will turn into a full-time opportunity? Key thing to realize, we do not guarantee that those will happen, but majority of them, about 75% of our internships and fellowships, tend to turn into full-time opportunities. So it's very possible, but there's many factors that come into play for that. Obviously, from your side, do you want to stay? Maybe you have some, goals to be a part of working at a AAA studio or starting your own studio, whatever the case might be. You might want to do some other things as well. And then also from our end, definitely the financial side of things. Also, is there a need within that specific department? So all of those things to take into consideration. As mentioned, it is for people that have graduated and completed that degree. In regards to benefits, you have a little bit extra benefits as well, being that you've completed your schooling. So we do offer medical, dental, and vision, as well as a housing stipend. It's a monthly amount that's given. We don't do a relocation piece, but there is a piece that's added to that monthly for you, understanding that you're making a move that could be a very short-term move. So we want to take that into consideration as well. And in regards to kind of the disciplines, there is art, design, engineering, and production, but there's also the possibility of different areas, kind of more in operations, so marketing as well, things along those lines. And then one other factor as well with fellowships, we're not limited to a specific semester or things like that in regards to a college or university. So there's a little bit more flexibility as well. So we do offer spring, summer, and fall opportunities. And one last piece too, some of you out there might have questions in regards to visas. For our internships and our fellowships, we do not do any sponsorship or anything along those lines, but obviously you need to make sure that your visa, the visa that you have or will have in regards to the opportunity gives you the ability to be able to work here. We understand that that's definitely a factor to take into consideration. In regards to full-time opportunities, we will support you in a sponsorship for a full-time opportunity, but for internships and fellowships, we do not do sponsorship along those lines. So last but not least, we do want to take a moment to connect with you. We love the chance of connecting through LinkedIn. It's a great resource. If you haven't set up a LinkedIn account, make sure you do that now. It's a great way to stay connected and to really work on those connections and networking for sure. So we'd love to stay connected with you. Please know we can't review resumes and cover letters and portfolios or anything like that, but we definitely want to have the opportunity to connect with you. Also, this QR code will lead you to our website in regards to different opportunities that are available. Currently, it's a small number and then more senior level opportunities that we are looking for, but things change all the time. So who knows in a month what new opportunities that will become available. In regards to internships and fellowships, that next possible time frame that we would be looking for would be for summer of next year, so 2025. Typically for us, we'll start the process in looking to hire and posting that job typically in January or February of 2025. So a couple more months. Feel free to check back on our website and then we can go from there. So Carmen, anything else?
Let me unmute myself. I want to encourage you to, like Amanda said, keep an eye on that general application and on our careers page. If you weren't able to catch some of the information that we shared in regards to fellowship and internships, we do have a section on our careers page. It's called FAQ, frequently asked questions, which you're going to be able to see a lot of those questions answered what I've been seeing in chat. So as Amanda said, please keep an eye out on our LinkedIn and other social medias, because when we are hiring for these roles, we are going to be like the town crier and we're going to be shouting it loud and proud, because we want to hear from each and every one of you that are interested in our roles. And a bonus little nugget here is we do not use AI for our applicant tracking system. So we encourage you to submit a cover letter, format those resumes that are readable. And if you are a graphic artist or you're someone who loves art, please do not add all the art to your resume. It makes it harder for us to read it and makes it harder for us to decipher what you're trying to tell us. We don't want to be distracted by your wonderful art that should be in your portfolio. A lot of you have been asking questions like, what should I put in my portfolio? What should I put in my resume? One of the great things about IGDA is resources like the questions that you're asking about your portfolio and your resume are all within IGDA's website. Go take a look. There's lots of information in there that's going to be useful for each and every one of you. Thanks. And I believe Parker has questions for us.
I was going to say there's a whole lot of questions in here. So I have dropped the links to both of their LinkedIn pages for you guys, for those in the chats, to give them a follow. And then also I dropped the link to the FAQ page on the careers site. So hopefully, but we'll still get into some of them that I think it's always a good opportunity to ask live some of these questions. So we are going to kick off. I've been trying to pay attention from nearly the beginning here because there's a lot. All right, where did my first one go? Okay, here we go. So, wondering what red flags and green flags you look out for in interviews?
That is a great question. I'll jump in with a couple, but I know Carmen will be able to jump into some as well. So in regards to an interview, I would say the first thing to think is to make sure to spend some time before the interview to do some research. Make sure that you know that the studio or the company, whatever that you're interested in and that you have the interview for is something that you want. That's important. It's never a positive thing when you go into an interview, and often one of the first questions we'll do is, why are you interested in Schell Games? And you can't answer that. That's never a good starting point. So you want to make sure you do some research. You want to make sure that you know more about the company, about the different games that they've been working on, to make sure that it's a place you want to work as well, because it's not just us interviewing you, it's you interviewing that specific company itself, and definitely getting to know the place where you could be spending a lot of time as well in the process. Carmen, how about you? I'll let you jump into.
Thanks, Amanda. You covered a lot of what I was going to say. But again, researching that job description. And if you're not familiar with some of those things that are on the job description, look them up. Check it out. And if you aren't sure if your skill set is going to be applicable, I would say definitely do not fudge your resume with your years of experience or lack of experience, because in the interview, you want to have the knowledge and effective communication to support what is on your resume, because we're going to ask you for examples. We're going to ask you to dig into your technical ability. And it's okay to say, I'm not familiar with that, or I am working on learning more about that, and I would love to learn more at your studio. So those are some of the tips and tricks I can give you for now. But I will say that if you're interested in more of that type of conversation, that's something potentially that we could come back with. So when you do your follow-up and your surveys, if there's something specific you want to learn from us, add it in there.
Amazing. I'm going to move on to the next one that it's going to be a two-part note here, just because I think the preface is useful here. Hey, I'm a narrative designer who just moved to Pittsburgh a little while ago. I've looked around at some of the Schell Games designers, and it doesn't seem like narrative is a distinct role at Schell. On that note, what are you looking for from a general design portfolio? Figured there was a good opportunity to address anything when it comes down to narrative design in there too. So.
Yeah, no, that's great. I will jump in to start. So yes, that is a very good observation in regards to our studio. Every studio is a little bit different. So for us and our designers, because of the size of our studio, like I said, we're about 160 people. So we're not too big, not too small, but we don't specialize in that same sense that maybe a AAA studio will specialize, where we're looking just for a narrative designer and that's all you're going to do. Our designers, we like to say, wear a lot of hats. So you're going to be coming in as a general designer. You might start on one project and be a narrative designer on that. And then you switch to another project when that one's completed and you do level design work. And then after that, you switch to doing systems design. So it really just depends. So that's why we don't specialize in that same sense. So it's important, if you know, gosh, I really want narrative design, that's all I want, our studio might not be a great fit for you in regards to kind of your passions and what you're looking for. But if you're looking for that overall experience in regards to design, our studio is definitely going to be a great place for you. Also, just in a general sense, we use Unity and Unreal. So having experience in both of those is helpful for sure. Obviously, we understand many times you tend to kind of specialize or be more comfortable in one and have more experience projects along those lines in regards to one engine, which we understand too. But again, we want to, if we're bringing you in, we want to make sure that we can take advantage of your strengths as well as your passions too. So if you have a chance to kind of experience, if you're like, yep, I've spent all of my career education experience in Unity, I want to dabble in Unreal and check it out a little bit, that's always a great thing. Again, having that experience, that wide experience is always going to be helpful as well. Carmen, I'm going to let you jump into the design portfolio piece, if that's all right.
Sure. So design portfolio, one of the key things, or I should say a couple of the key things that we're going to be looking for, is your design documentation. So for those of you who haven't done that yet, or maybe you've only done portions because you worked on some game jams, it's okay to be able to do some solo projects. So you'll make a level of something, or maybe work on 3 levels if you're, feeling so busy. And you're going to just use your documentation from what you've done. Now, I will say that your documentation, if you're going to submit that on your resume, or with your resume, you need to have a link that's appropriate. Also, having an email that's professional and appropriate for your application is very important. We don't want to see an email of, dragonslayer67842@gmail. Even if you have to make a separate email with your first name and your last name initial, or your last name and your first name initial, that's going to reflect appropriately in your application, because we do look at those types of things as well. Also, we want to see a portfolio that has recent work, and that goes for all disciplines. We don't want to see something going back to high school, or potentially you've been in the industry for 20 years and you have something from university, unless you're really proud of that work. And make sure your descriptions in your portfolio support your work and what you worked on. Not what a group worked on, but what you did on your projects. And give a little breakdown. Do not give a wall of text, but give a little breakdown and sharing some of those things that maybe you had a hard time doing and you had to work through it, and give us, some of those steps. And then also, if you were really excited about something and you just love that project, that's going to give us an idea of what style of project you want to work in. So for example, as an artist, if you're looking to work in more stylized work versus something else, we definitely want to know, and then you'll be able to support that conversation in the interview. Thanks for the question.
Amazing. Very thorough answers from both of you. This is really cool. So I know this next one that I'm about to pull up, I know you touched on it a little bit, but somebody's clearly interested. So thank you for having us doing this wonderful Q&A. I'm a college student in mass, getting a degree in entertainment leadership. I was wondering if Schell Games have business role opportunities. If so, what are some of those roles? I know you talked about some of the operations, but wondering if you could expand a little bit more on that.
Sure. Great question. So in regards to our studio, those opportunities, unfortunately, are going to kind of be few and far between. Oftentimes it's the need within the studio. So, summertime frame, if there's maybe a specific need, so the reality of the business side can be a little bit more challenging for opportunities, but that doesn't mean that can't happen for sure. So kind of keeping an eye on our studio and being able to, see if there's any opportunities that present themselves. So I wish I could say there was more, but unfortunately, those are smaller. That's why we don't tend to list those as a ton, because those aren't as many opportunities as the other disciplines.
And I'll just plus one to Amanda. Thank you, Maximilian, for that question. I will say that just because our studio may not be looking for something in that vein, and that could be very vast for you in regards to operations, you can look at other studios that maybe are a bit larger, and independent studios, startups that are looking for more of what you're offering. And if you understand your skill set and where you are sharp, it can be very, very easy for you to write a cover letter. And once you do that research that says, hey, I could help you in XXX because I have this experience. So don't be afraid to look at other studios. Also, you can look at game adjacent things like, engineers can go into medical, engineers can go into other fields, not just gaming. And so can you.
Amazing. This one I think is a particularly interesting one. Can you speak to your diversity goals?
Yeah, 100%. I can say we are 100% committed to this goal. This is one of our pillars. And as a matter of fact, if you watch the video, you could see that we have a very, very diverse studio membership of team members. And when we say diversity, that doesn't that doesn't only mean race or ethnicity. That also means age, gender, how you would like to identify, and also the diverse portfolio that we have, right? So it all starts with me, you, and our teams, and taking those diverse perspectives and utilizing them as fuel for our creativeness. And we will be committed to this goal for the length of our time at the studio. We are 22 years old, and this has been one of our pillars, and this won't change. We also know that the definition of diversity changes as time changes, and we want to ensure that we are doing our due diligence to keep up with that, which is why we also have DEIB. Belonging is so important to us. We want you to come in as a studio or a team member and make sure that you feel like you belong. We use the term culture add, not culture fit, because we do not want to, as the kids say, you to get in to fit in, because that's not what we're about. We want you to add to our culture and explore the opportunities, give us your feedback, be prepared to share and not scared to have a voice and a seat at the table. Hopefully that answers your question.
Amazing. Thought you might like that one. So very important. Very important. So I'm going to jump over to another excellent question here. Here we go from Marissa. Hello, game engineer attending Bradley University in Illinois here. Your website says general submission pools are always open and that you convert them to active applications when a submission opens. How do you find yourself hiring from this pool? And do you have any examples of applications from there that stood out to you?
I will jump into this to start. Yes, as Carmen made a mention to earlier, the important one of the important things for us as a department is really making sure we keep the people and the human resources side of things. So we see and touch everything. There is not a computer system that weeds out and sifts and does any of the work. We are the ones who are touching everything. So we read all of your applications, all of your resumes. That's important to us. So yes, we definitely have pulled people that have applied previously. We will keep your application and resume for a year time frame. So we kind of have a separate spot that we're going to keep that. So if we know, yeah, you're a designer, we don't have design openings at the moment, but we're going to save that. And when those opportunities present itself, then we have that pool that we can lean into and look and see if your skill set is what we're looking for in regards to that role, and we will reach out to you. So that is important to us to make sure we kind of keep that communication and connection. And I know this year for sure that we've definitely hired in that regard too. So it's not just something we say, it is something that we do and follow up on. In regards to examples of applications of what things that stood out, that is a good question. I think for me, kind of the starting point in regards to an application and a resume is making sure that when I look at it, it's clear and it's simple for me to read. You don't want to have massive amounts of text and different fonts and different orders and things that just like it's confusing to look at. That might sound simple and not a big deal, but it actually is a big deal and can be really helpful for us to be able to read your resume. Remember, you've looked at your resume a ton of times, so you can find it and know what you're looking for. We've never seen it, so I don't know you at all. I don't know your background. So making sure that it's simple for us to see is really helpful. Oftentimes, within the gaming industry, one thing that can be helpful is also putting an objective of, I'm looking to do game design. I want to be a producer. Helping us understand the frame of how we need to look at your resume is really helpful. Sometimes we'll read a resume and someone has experience in design and production and a little bit of coding. So we're kind of left wondering like, do you want design? Do you want production? Are you hoping for, engineering? So you don't want to leave us questioning what you want to do. You want to make sure that it's clear that we know, yes, you are someone that's looking to be a designer. Here is your experience. Here are the things that you've focused on as well. And we understand if it's more of an entry level and you don't have a ton of experience, that's okay. We understand that for sure. But want to make sure that you list the things that are applicable. If you have done some game jams, if you've done a solo project, that's always wonderful. And we want to see that. And we want to hear more specifics of the things that you've done within it, not just saying I worked on a project and then no description. We do want to know, what did you do on that project specifically, especially on the team projects, because obviously you were a part of that team. That is a big part of how we function as a studio as well. So I'll stop there. I'm sure I could keep going, but that's a great question.
Awesome. Moving right along, This one is one that is such a good general question because I always have this one myself. Can you spend a moment or two talking about cover letters? How significant is a cover letter? What's the ideal length for the letter? What's the right tone?
This is a debate old as time, just like PC versus console. So cover letters can be a very dicey conversation depending on who you ask, what studio or role you're looking for, and or position. And it doesn't have to be in gaming. This question comes up a lot. And I can say throughout my tenure and career, cover letter is something that if it is listed on your application and you do not submit it, we will look at that as not following instructions. And I know, a gasp, a lot of you are like, I didn't think of that. But it's our way of checking to see if you're reading the application. I will say that I personally do not like a really long application, but if I see cover letter, I'm definitely going to write one. And it doesn't have to be 2 pages. It doesn't have to be 2 paragraphs. It's a cover letter. The cover letter is to support your application. The cover letter helps us understand if you've read the job description. And we also know if you're using AI. And I'll say that again. Recruiters know when you're using AI to write your resume or your cover letter. And if you didn't know, bonus tip, there's software out there that lets us know as well. I can say we don't use it, but other studios might. So when you're crafting that cover letter, make sure it's telling us your story. Even if you have to use the STAR method, there are plenty of templates in the world of the web, internet, for those of you who are a little younger, that'll give you some base prompts to be able to create a cover letter. You can look on LinkedIn and see other people's cover letter to get examples of things that maybe feel good to you. I will say, as Amanda said earlier, we want to make sure that we can read it. We want to make sure that it makes sense. And also, no embellishing. You don't have to add big words on that cover letter for us to know what you're looking for and what you're excited about. And again, don't go back into your way back history to add to your cover letter. I think for me, again, not a person that enjoys a cover letter, but I will write one because I want the person reading the application to understand that Carmen's coming to that interview. And Carmen is set apart by XXX. And it sets you up for success. If I read a good cover letter, it might just draw me in enough to get a phone call, even though your resume is a hot mess with graphics and the fonts are, 2 different sizes throughout the resume, as Amanda said. But that cover letter and understanding your passion lies in design because, and even if you don't play a studio's game, you need to do that before you submit your application or your cover letter, because we're going to ask you about our IP, about our product. And I can tell you that probably 97% of other studios will do the same. So make sure you do your research. And John, thanks for that question.
I'm going to jump in and add just one thing to it as well, in regards to cover letters. One of the things that's important as well is make sure that it's personalized. I can't tell you how many cover letters we get, that's a very generic thank you, I'm applying for the role, or, whatever the case might be, or it's a wrong cover letter for another job. So again, it's those details, it's those small things, those things that might not seem like a big deal, but again, it's the things that are going to help you stand out in a positive way. Spending the time, think of it kind of like if I'm sitting down to have a conversation with Carmen, and I ask her, hey, why do you want to be a designer? What she's going to tell me is really helpful because it's going to be personal. It's going to be her why behind it. So think of your cover letter like your why, and making sure that you take some time to let us know why you're interested in this role in our company, and making sure that it's specific to us. We understand if you don't know a name, you don't necessarily know our names. That's fine. It can be to, dear hiring manager. But beyond that, we want it to be more specific.
That's beautiful. I love that from both of you because that frames, I think, cover letters really well. And so I'm going to clip that later. This is future me will take care of that. This is just a really interesting one. So from Timothy, what are the best opportunities to network with people at Schell Games? Especially if they want to, I'm guessing, learn about what it's like to be there and work there and like get a better feel for the company they might be applying for.
I'll start this one, Amanda. One of the best ways to network with us is our open house. We do an open house once a year. And if you haven't signed up for our newsletter, what are you waiting on? That's where you're going to get the news that we're having our open house. An open house is exactly what it sounds like. We open up the doors to the public and you to come in and play our demos, talk to the team members within their specific discipline, and ask the questions that you're dying to ask either a senior or a marketing person. There's our fellows are there. Our game entry level people are there. And we're there to answer all your questions and network. Amanda and I will be there, and we know you're bringing your your resume. We know you're bringing it to us. So this is the space that we have time to have some of those one-on-one conversations if you're in the Pittsburgh area. And if you're not, some of the best places to network with us is LinkedIn. Connect. You'll see, the link in the chat. Thank you, Parker. And you'll be able to network with us and see the things that we post. Another way is go to those conventions, whether we're there or not. GDC is coming up. We will be there. We will make meetings for one-on-ones. You'll see it pop up later. We will call out, hey, if you want to meet with us, let's have a conversation, schedule other events and other people in the industry. If you go to an event and you get in a room and you're like, man, who do I talk to? This is intimidating. There's a lot of people in here. You want to make sure that you have positive body language. We don't want to see you with your arms crossed, pulling on your shirt, looking around like you don't want anybody to talk to you, mean mugging people, as the kids say, and not being approachable. And it's okay to say hello to someone. Walk up and say, hello, my name is Timothy. I'm here because I want to be an artist. Why are you at GDC? Start the conversation with the why. Why for you? And then someone else will engage. Don't forget to smile, guys. A smile goes a long way. Amanda, what do you have to add?
You pretty much hit them for sure. I would say the only other smaller thing that I would add is, for example, like at GDC, I know we have a lot of our studio members that do a lot of talks. And so you have an opportunity to ask questions in those talks, but also afterward, there's definitely a chance to, have an opportunity to go up and say, hey, I loved your talk. I so appreciated it. I see that you work at Schell Games. How has your experience been? Do you like it? I mean, again, when you're asking someone else a question, it's way easier to engage because for the most part, people are pretty quick to give you a response when you're asking them about their experience. And again, it's giving you a chance to kind of engage and get to know someone and get to know the studio. You're going to hear from our employees, hopefully positively, but you're going to have a chance to hear from whatever company, whatever studio, more specifically when you have a chance to be able to just connect and chat with people. It doesn't have to be a huge chunk of time. It can just be a couple minutes, which is great as well in the process. But yeah, taking advantage of those opportunities and what Carmen said for sure, just being aware of yourself. We understand, this is what we do for our job and we do enjoy it, but there's times where it's still hard as well for us to do. So just realize, do your best in the process. And sometimes it's helpful if you're still in school or an opportunity where you can do some practice networking. That is also helpful as well. And then also one of the things I would say that applies to an interview, but also can apply to networking for sure, doing your elevator pitch. Practice. The more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. And it's going to be easy because someone might say, hey, tell me about yourself. And it's like, take you aback for a moment. But if you've done it enough, it's easier for you to be able to do. It's easy to be able to kind of share. You don't want it to be super long and super detailed. And having a chance to do it, whether it's a friend, a family member, maybe a professor, a coworker, or whatever the case might be, having multiple people to do that with, it's going to make that easier for you too as well.
And I'll just add one more thing because, I'm cheeky and I like to be fun. Amanda and I will wear our Schell Games t-shirts to any convention. So if you see us walking around with that Schell Games t-shirt, the Schell Games backpack, we are open to you coming up to us and saying hello. we're always open to having an impromptu conversation. And you will see many of our studio members doing the same thing. Now, I will say that if they're giving a talk or if they are engaged in a conversation, please wait your turn. Because sometimes as Amanda and I are talking, we get groups, right? We get like 5, 6 people in a conversation. We don't mind that, but we would love to be able to give each person the attention they deserve. And we will acknowledge a group, don't get me wrong. The other thing is, when you're at things like GDC, if you're a person that gets overwhelmed by large crowds and intimidating situations, and each of you know what those are for yourselves, there are other types of events to go to. There are ice cream socials or smaller meetups, and those are places that you can practice with other people who are looking to start engaging in networking. And networking doesn't have to be something that you feel is heavy for you. If you do, then don't do it now. Wait until you build your confidence up to be able to do something outside of your box. And I will tell you that once you do it once, you've cracked that nut, you've got it, and you're gonna kill it. It's not always fun and it's scary, but you'll come out stronger on the other end.
Amazing. And just a quick side question. I don't know, when in the year does the open house tend to happen? Is there a typical time frame? Sorry, to go back to that as opposed to the networking.
Yeah, it's typically in April time frame. So I would say spring. Spring is the best way. So as Carmen said, if you are connected to us through our newsletter, you will definitely have notification and heads up on that too.
Perfect. I just figured that would be a good, at least be able to like pay attention in Q1 to the newsletter, because it'll probably get announced then, and that's always a good piece. We are getting close to time, so I'm gonna pull up. There's been so many questions. There's so many we didn't get to. We clearly need to do this again. And there will be a survey going out to the people that signed up and RSVP'd, so that way you can ask additional questions and we could look at framing another session about that. My cat also has decided that it's his turn for attention. The one thing that before we kind of end this off, I just wanted to throw it back to both you, Amanda and Carmen. Is there one piece of advice you'd like everybody to leave with today? I know. Final thoughts, final notes.
I'll start. The one piece of advice I would like to share, as I would tell my younger self, is you are worth it, you are worthy, and you deserve to reach those goals that you set for yourself. I would advise not to set too many goals at once, because you will disappoint yourself and maybe set yourself back in the confidence world. But again, everything that you desire is worth it. And as they say, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. It is really true. It could be scary, even downright, make you stop in your tracks, but it is all worth it because you're worth it. Amanda.
Yeah, that's great. And I'll piggyback that a little bit of just making sure that you are yourself in this process. You want to be able to have an opportunity and a job opportunity where you can go and be yourself every day and enjoy that. And other people have the chance to get to know you as well. So making sure that you kind of think through, okay, what do you want? What is your passion? What are the things that you want to, work towards in regards to a goal or an opportunity as well. So totally what Carmen said for sure, but and realize we understand that you're nervous and that this is a scary process, and we know that. We want to do our best to try to make it as less scary as possible from our end to help you feel comfortable, and that we want to get to know you in the process. But just remember, that's the goal of staying and remembering who you are in it and staying true to that.
Oh, those are such beautiful last points and last notes. I love that. Well, once again, everybody, thank you so much to everybody who joined us today. Please connect with these two lovely individuals, just these fountains of information. And thank you both so much for joining us today. Thank you, Schell Games, for being a part of the IGDA period. We love you. We appreciate you. And I can't wait till we do more of these, because this was fantastic. So yes.
Thank you, Parker. Thank you for all the hard work behind the scenes.
Yes, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to be able to be here.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate you both. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out and watching.
Thanks, everybody.
And, We'll catch you another time. Bye.